Welcome, 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 everybody. My name is April, and my spirits and I together, we are called Ostre Astonis. Welcome to the Conspiritesees podcast, where we talk about all things spiritual, spirit, ghosts, mysterious death, celebrity gossip, and all things in between. But most importantly, we want to know what spirit really has to say and what spirit really sees. So, today, we're going to be getting into the discussion about Hurricane Helene, and unfortunately, there was a lot of devastation from this particular hurricane. And Spirit had a lot to say about this, including speaking very fluently about the astrology in terms of astrocartography as well around those particular areas where the storms hit. Also, there has been some suspicion about how devastating the weather was and if it was manipulated, and my spirit said yes. So that being said, I had gone down into a little bit of research and looked into um basically there is a large um deposit of lithium in that area and quartz as well, and I believe the lithium deposits is one of the largest in the United States, so there's a lot of interest there. And I think that they wanted to get some of those resources there. And I think the residents, from what I understand in the town, were not okay with that because many of them had been grandfathered into these particular areas from land to inheritance, property, houses, and so forth. So they were denied um, quite a bit, these higher ups, these elite, who had a strong interest in there. So it kind of, if you follow the money, more than likely you're going to get your answer if things start looking a little suspicious, which this does. And ironically, this mirrors the devastation and the absolute horrific loss of life that happened in Lahaina, Hawaii. And this is something that Spirit had mentioned very clearly, is this is mirroring something similar. So they led me to what happened to Hawaii. So obviously what happened to Hawaii, this was much different. This was like a fire and wind and devastation, things like that. Um People were saying that they were seeing things coming out of the sky, like lasers coming out of the sky, that something started the fire. Ironically, they sent the children home in Lahaina, Hawaii. Why? So, why weren't some of these kids led to safety? The timing of it doesn't seem right. It's very suspicious. Okay. So, Spirit talks about a lot of these elite and people that are higher up are stealing the land. It's very motivated, it's very intentional. And here's the thing, if you are grandfathered into a land or property, then as the older generation starts to die off, then you have the generation after that, and then therefore the grandchildren will inherit the land, the property, and so forth. And so these generations are a threat, especially for people who want the land. Are you following me on this? So how ironic is it that you would send children home to their families, to their parents in Hawaii, knowing that there is, I know there's a lot details that go behind us, but think about that. So that means there's no people that will inherit the property if the children pass, if the children go missing. So when you look at what's going on here with Hurricane Helene, and I can say this firsthand, I have a friend that I have clients that live over there in North Carolina, and it's true. FEMA is not really assisting and helping. They don't have the funds, according to what this current administration is saying, because they had given it away, or it's been going to this and going to that. I'm not going to get into the details of that, but it's true. There is not a lot of help, and a lot of the American citizens are helping our brothers and sisters over there. These are regular American citizens that are doing most of the work, and it is true because I have been getting the phone calls. So we're really out here having to take care of things on our own. All we have is each other. So all this fighting and diversity and just like people just the division. I guess I meant to say division. Excuse me. Um, what does that matter when it's life or death? These are the things we have to think about in terms of community and staying with each other. Leaning into crowds, tribes, and communities that get it, that understand where you're coming from, your values, and your belief systems. And this really goes with the transit of the Jupiter and Gemini transit. And this is going to last all the way to June 9th, 2025, which, mind you, I had predicted that RFK would endorse Trump, and it came true. Because of this transit, I was very suspicious that we'll start to see other crowds and groups starting to merge with other crowds and groups, and kind of like saying, hey, we're better together. We got to team it up. We got to twin to win. And this goes to show what's happening now in a crisis in destruction. All these viewpoints and perspectives. I understand it's worth a discussion, but at the same time, when it's life or death, what do you got if you don't got food, if you don't got water, if you don't got insulin? And that's what these people need. So I have a friend that is out there in the destruction, and there is a I got the phone call today. Actually, there's a nursing home out there in Asheville, and these elderly people are literally trapped in the nursing home with no water, no power, and no insulin, and they're slowly dying. Keep in mind, the physicians and the nurses there are trapped as well. Think about that. And then there's nobody coming in to help. So the American citizens are using their money, their resources to help these people. And then imagine trying to go in and help them, and then you get turned away. And that's what they are doing to these people that are at the long-term care facility. And this came through. This phone call came through from a friend today. This is a true story. So that is our United States government turning people away for help, and these people can't get out. So what do? So all they can do is wait, and that's what I was told today. So very, very heartbreaking, and I wish I had a better story for you, but that is the reality of what is happening right now. And if you think about it, what if that was happening to you? What if that was happening in your life? Who would you go to? And that's why we got to lean into that energy of that Jupiter and Gemini, is where you got to find people that you can gang up with a little bit, just in case something happens. So who's to say we're not exempt from it, wherever you are who are listening, if something comes up. So you have to find your tribe and your community. And it's very, very important. And that is testament with RFK endorsing Trump, of how powerful that transit is. Meaning you have to twin to win. That he was so disheartened by, the lack of, I guess, support from his own Democratic Party. He went independent, and then he still wasn't getting the support that he needed. So he just figured, you know what? I have to think about how bad it has to be for him to do that. But he did it because his goal is coming from his heart. And it was much more, the man meant what he meant, in terms of what action he was going to take if he got in position where he could actually make a difference. And Spirit had said some very nice things about RFK. I was predicting that we might be seeing a Kennedy in the office in the White House at some point. I predicted back in early January, and when I saw that happen, I couldn't stop laughing, because I was thinking to myself, "Oh my God, I was just talking about this 2 weeks ago, and I posted it on the gram." That is, and I'm chuckling because that's how testament and how powerful it is. Where sometimes you just have to drop things and go, you know what, like. Because think about these people. I mean, they're helping them, and they're not asking them who they're voting for. They're asking them, hey, do you need insulin? Do you need these types of things? I'm trying to get you to see something for those that are listening. My point. Okay. I do want to talk about this line of Neptune too, that in Pisces, and keep in mind the Saturn is in Pisces right now, but it's in retrograde until November 15th. November 15th. So this is what's got me suspicious when I was looking at this. So this means that the feeling I had and what Spirit described to me is that we might have a revisiting of another storm like this coming back around full circle between now and 2025. I would say probably, if anything, summer or fall, if anything, at the latest of 2025. I think it'll be something that could potentially be less devastating, but I think that it'll be pretty equal in measure, if anything, or less. Okay, this is the feeling I'm getting. I pray I'm wrong, but this is the sense I'm getting, because the Saturn retrograde means going backwards to something. But in Pisces, and that connection to that Neptune line for astrocartography is Neptune rules Pisces, and it's going right through the bottom to the top. That's like Florida going up, 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 and then it butts up to that Uranus line. If you look at the birthday of the United States, that means wild, erratic behavior around water. And so keep in mind, though, too, at the same time, if these storms, if they can prove it, were manipulated, seeding the clouds, just different things that they can do these days to create problems, climate change, and so forth. Because there's a lot of that going on out there in talks. It upsets spirits, especially spirits that have lost their lives, and due to a huge injustice. And if they get wind that this was manipulated or something, it pisses the spirits off of the land, it pisses the spirits off and the ancestors of the land. And you don't want to piss them off. And if you start to piss them off, it creates a lot of problems, like with the people who are doing stuff like this. It's a huge karmic debt, and especially if you're doing it right in the middle of a karmic debt year of 2024 equaling 8. So this is a karmic debt year. So it's not a good look. And keep in mind, look at the fall of the celebrities. That is we just had the lunar eclipse, full moon lunar eclipse in Pisces, and right around that time, what do you know? Diddy gets arrested. And then we got this Pluto in Capricorn, and again, the fall of celebrities. So what goes up must come down, okay? So the whole idea of gatekeepers with the celebrities, because celebrities is very correlated to um the sign of Pisces. Pisces speaks of cinema, the celebrities. It's not just it's not just stands for a water sign, but it does speak of that life, Hollywood, things like that. So, interestingly enough, with all these transits, that's why we're seeing the fall of the celebrities, and that's what Pisces brings up. So we got the storms, and then we got the celebrities falling. All the stars, excuse me, are falling from the sky, so to speak. So it's like, wow. And, if that's not testament how powerful astrology really is. Um, but anyway, I just wanted to share a little bit about this with Hurricane Helene. Um, Also, too, for those that are listening, there's a book that just came out. If you really want to go down the rabbit hole, it's by, I think, Nicholas Sparks, if I'm not mistaken, and it's called Counting Miracles. I think it was released on September 24th. And ironically, in that particular book, it speaks about Hurricane Helene and how someone was coming out of the water in waist high flood water trying to escape Hurricane Helene. What are the odds of that? Think about how twisted that is. It's like, how in the hell did that book come out? Again, look it up. Nicholas Sparks, Counting Miracles. It was released on September 24th. Very odd, very odd. But there is some talks too on TikTok. I had seen this too, that they had seen some planes leave Houston, Texas, and or a plane, and they were tracking it. It was flying over the storm, going round and around and around. It could be some of those storm chasers, or it could be somebody seeding the clouds, things like this. But it does seem very, very strange, and how ironic all these things are lining up. I bring up the book. I bring up, of course, the astrologies will always be there, but um the elite trying to fight over the land to the current residents that are there. So they don't want anyone inheriting the land. So the government can go in and say, oh, shit, this is uninhabitable. You need to get out. And no, you can't come back. We're taking it over. How convenient, right? Same thing they did over in Hawaii. And the younger generation are a threat, especially if they inherit that land. They want them out. So this is their way to kind of get away with the things that they want. And it's all profit, it's all money. And at the end of the day, if you follow the money, you get a lot more answers than you think. So, but my prayers and my hearts go out to these families and my friends that are, that have been affected by this particular storm. There's supposedly another storm coming towards Florida, and I have a lot of clients that are from Florida, and my prayers are going out for them because I heard that they're shutting down the schools for 3 days. So I prayed. Storms are kind of erratic. They go left, they go right, they move around. So sometimes you just don't know where it's going. But it is all true because a lot of my clients and friends are saying they are fighting over gas. There's not a lot of resources, meaning food, water. And so if they can't get what they need, they're going to have to start looting because what choice are they left to have if there's nothing left? And this is really real and it's very much happening. So, but anyway, so far, this is what I got on Hurricane Helene. I wanted to share with you what Spirit had to say. Don't ever forget that I told you that. You can always come back and listen to this. But be careful for those that live in that area because of that Neptune line. So, for those that live in those areas, be mindful of floods, waters, and storms because that particular area is vulnerable for that. And I do feel like there may be another hurricane that could come in that particular area, in those areas, because of what astrology speaks of and what my spirits had also mentioned to me as well. So be careful out there for those that are listening. Anyway, from my heart to yours, you guys, that's what I got for Hurricane Helene from my spirits, guides, angels, and ancestors. Thank you for listening to the Conspiracies podcast. Once again, my name is April. My spirits and I together, we're called Austria Soundance. You can check me out at Austria Soundance on Instagram. I'm always over there. Or you can book a reading with me at austriasoundance.net. And that's it. Coming up next is the reading on Diddy, J-Lo, and I got a lot of things to talk about with Tupac. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.